Okay, why don't we modify this a little bit, see if we can make it a little bit more advanced, a little understand a few more concepts here in our scripting. So I'll go back into this after successfully executing the hello worlds. Why don't we do some other classic things you might encounter in programming or in scripting and see how Bash deals with a few of these things. Such as having variables. If I wanted to have variables that are built into my script and start working not just with text that I put in the script, but perhaps information that's coming from a variable, how would we do that? How would we deal with variables inside a script? And so I'll put a line above this and try to say, all right, how can I assign a variable as part of my script? Maybe I'll have something like this, like message or MSG. And so the way Bash deals with creating variables, you just type the new variable that you want to assign, and then put an equal sign. So MSG equals, and then it's classic that we would put this in quotes. So maybe I still want it to say the classic hello world message, but I'll now put that inside quotes to have my message be a variable instead of something that was directly typed out. So hello world, let's spell that correctly. Maybe I'll even toss an exclamation point in there because now I'm just so happy. All right, sure. So echo hello, or I'll have my hello world is now going to be saved to this MSG variable. And so this is something that we could have as part of our echo statement too, as we learn about this, because previously we've really just echoed out text that we've manually typed in. We could echo out text and variables. So now that I've got this MSG variable, I can now reference the value of this MSG variable other places in my script. All right. So in other words, maybe I'll have something like this that's a bit of a mix. And this time I'm going to start using quotes with my echoes. Up until this point, we've probably been kind of sloppy with our echoes. You know, we've just typed out the message that we've wanted to have. But as soon as you want to start mixing and matching, having a combination of text and perhaps some symbols and perhaps some variables, it will be useful to take our information and start putting it in quotes. So I'm definitely going to start doing that kind of from now on. Not so important when all you want to do is echo out a single word, but as soon as you start mixing and matching, it does become important to put a lot of this stuff in quotes. So, okay, so I'll echo out my message and maybe I'll have something like my script says, you know, just giving it like a notification to the user, like, or this script says :space, right? And then I'll give the message. And the way I can call that MSG variable is by putting the $ in front of the variable name. So I'd say this script says, and then $MSG. And if you're in Nano or if you're in VI, you'll start getting some color coding that will happening. And then of course I can close the quotes. So now my echo statement is showing this is what's going to get echoed out. And that $MSG, of course, is going to be the variable that I assigned on the line previously. Okay, fine. Let's go ahead and save this and see if we can get this to run successfully. Control X, Y, enter. Okay. Now, before I execute the script, I want us to see really how this works in terms of executing the script. Because as I said, lots of websites online, they always say just type /my first script. When really I was emphasizing you type the file path to the script. So realize it will work if I stop and recognize what file path am I actually in right now. I'm in the home directory for Sandbox. I could type the full file path to where the script is without any spaces, without any additional command. So the command I'm running is the /home/sandbox/myfirstscript.sh. That's the command that I want to execute. All right. And I didn't put anything before the file path. So you can give the direct file path right there to the script. And that's what the / part is doing. But if I run that, you see the script does execute and it says, yes, this script says $MSG, but the value for that was hello world. So we're starting to see a few other examples here of kind of how this works. Okay. So let's keep going. Let's see if we can keep building on this and find a few other classic things we can do with our script. So I'll go back into our script. And now that we've kind of seen how I could type my own message in the script, I could have messages that get saved to variables, sure. One of the next classic things that we might want to do is to be able to prompt the user for a message. So maybe I'll keep that first hello world message there, just kind of I'll add on to my example now and say, what if I wanted to get the user to give me information that I could then use in the script to actually have a prompt? And of all the commands we've done so far, we certainly have not prompted the user to type in any information. So this one's kind of a new one, but it is very, very common when we're dealing with scripting. That, of course, is the read command. So the read command is a command that you can prompt the user with a message take whatever the user has typed and save it to a variable. All right, and so that's going to be some important stuff here. We have to remember, I've got the read command, and then I'm going to have a prompt. So what is my prompt going to be? And that's where you'd have the -p to say, let's prompt the user with a message. Because otherwise, they're just going to have a blinking cursor there, and the user's not going to know, like, am I supposed to type something? Like what's going on? And so it's very common you would have something like, open quotes, enter your second message, something like that. So now I've got a message that's coming from the script itself, my hello world message, but now I'm asking the user for whatever the second message is that we want it to be. And again, I'm putting a little space in there, and then knowing that the blinking cursor is going to show up after this prompt has actually shown up on the screen. The last thing you need to have when you have the read command is, what is the variable that you want to assign this to? So maybe I've got the MSG variable, maybe just to not be too creative, maybe I'll have something like MSG2. All right, so that will be my next variable that I'll have is the MSG2 variable. All right, and so having MSG, that will say hello world, MSG2, that will have whatever the second message is. Now notice I did not put a $sign here. I didn't say $MSG2 because that would call the reference to this variable, and this variable doesn't exist yet. I'm declaring it right now. Okay, and so maybe just to kind of like confirm that it all works after the user goes and types in their message and we have a new message that's been assigned, maybe I'll just try echoing it out again. I'll spit the value back to the user so then they can see that. So I'll say like echo your second message was, and then do my $MSG2 and close the quotes to put it all inside the echo. Okay, something like that, sure. And maybe we'll try to run this. We'll save this, we'll run this, we'll continue kind of building out our example. Control X, Y, enter. And let's go ahead and execute our script now. So doesn't matter if you type the full file path, doesn't matter if you type the // notation to be able to execute my script, my first script. It should be able to run the script and give that first echo message, the hello world, and now it's waiting for a second message. So I could say something like, scripting is fun, yay, yeah, sure. All right, and now it actually goes and spits out my second message. My second message was, scripting is fun. There we go. So we're kind of seeing here how using a lot of the commands we already know, things like our echo commands, and then combining it with being able to read data through the read command, you can really start doing a lot of your basic input-output to scripting pretty quickly. It doesn't take a heck of a lot of fancy syntax and knowledge and all that to be able to really get moving along pretty quick when we're dealing with bash scripting. It definitely can be a pretty powerful thing really quickly.